Moot. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman join us now. Good evening, gentlemen. I want to start right there. You guys have called a million games, and the execution there is right on time. The pass is perfect. If he catches that ball, you think they've got time to sprint up, spike it, and attempt a field goal?
I think the one thing that could have happened, I'm with you, it would have been really tight and hard with no timeouts to get up there, spike it, kill the clock, give Boswell a chance, unless that throw led him straight out of bounds, meaning catch in the middle of the field. He was in front of the defender, run it straight out of bounds. Maybe they have a better shot that way, stopping the clock. But, yeah, you're right. It would have been close had he made that catch.
Yeah, they work on that. They would have to catch it, knowing exactly where he has to get to, and they didn't have any other options. So that would have been the test as to whether or not they could have gotten up and stopped it to give themselves an opportunity.
Joe,
it's unfortunate for them they didn't get the chance, though,
right,
you know?
Right, and again, you're right. As you said on the call, gentlemen, Pat had such a huge game for them and just couldn't secure that one. This Cincinnati team, as we all know, they dug the hole. As Joe Burrow said, nobody but us to blame. This march towards potentially getting in began on a Monday night in Dallas with an unlikely victory. But, Joe, I'm interested, what's impressed you most about this Bengals team and their ability to stay in the fight and at least give themselves a glimmer?
You know, everybody would probably just point automatically to Joe Burrow with the year that he's had, and that would be an easy answer. I think it's Lou Anarumo. I think it's the job that their defense did down the stretch. A defense, you know, people were calling for his job, and he's been so good coordinating this defense. He's in his sixth year as well. He was a hot potential head coaching candidate a couple of years ago, and he and his group, they figured out a way to get it done. So they win their final 5 games. They have a chance. And like Joe Burrow said at the end of the game, it was a gritty, close game. And for them, it had to feel good to win one of those instead of what they've done this season, which is lose some heartbreakers.
Troy, you played the position at a Hall of Fame level, and listening to your call throughout the evening, it's clear the respect you have for Joe Burrow. Your admiration for what he does begins where? What most impresses you?
I just think he's an old school quarterback, and for guys like myself that were pocket passers, that's how you had to play the game. You had to anticipate, you had to be able to read defenses, you had to throw the ball on time, you had to know where the receivers were going to be. The receivers had to know when the quarterback was going to be throwing it, turning it loose, and he's just masterful in that. And it's kind of a lost art. The game has changed, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the way he plays the position is what I identify most with. And, you know, he does move around and he is able to create and make plays because he is healthier than what he has been at different times in his career. But he's not Josh Allen and he's not Lamar Jackson and those type of guys that can run around and make plays. He's got to do it a little bit of a different way, and yet he does it as effectively as any of those other guys. I just think that he plays the position at such a high level. He's a real joy to watch. He's my favorite quarterback to watch, and that's saying something because all those guys I mentioned, in addition to Patrick Mahomes and many others, I enjoy watching all of them because I think this position's being played at a really high level at a lot of places around the league.
Joe, I'm confused because I was under the impression that the foot speed of the man to your right was such that he could have run had he chosen to. It was more that you just chose to make your living there in the pocket.
We did remind you that I went to Oklahoma as a wishbone quarterback, right?
I remember. I do remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And I think
those days are long gone.
I think he did at one point earlier in the year challenge Jameis Winston to a foot race.
Yeah, I
did that
too.
But I was joking. I was joking.
Okay.
So
the truth comes out. And listen, the truth right now for Pittsburgh is not a pleasant thing to ponder because they are a playoff team. But, fellas, they're limping in. They've played 4 consecutive games against teams that are either playoff teams or potentially one in Cincinnati. They've lost them all. Troy, I don't assume in a week you can become the team you hope to become. What does Pittsburgh do between now and next week?
Man, I don't know, Scott. It's ugly. I mean, it's ugly, and they've got to be better on that side of the ball. Well, the good news was their defense that had been struggling played really well against an offense, as we know, who's been scoring a lot of points. So that part of it, I think they've got to feel good about. On the other side of it, it's just got to get a lot better. It's got to get better. The passing game has to get better. They run the ball a lot. They don't necessarily run it well, but you've got to throw the football better than what they have thrown it if you're going to do anything in the postseason. the fact that they're in the postseason is fortunate for them. I mean, when you lose 4 straight,
Right.
Typically that's not enough to get in.
Joe, I'll give you the final word, and I imagine perhaps you echoed Troy's thoughts, maybe not. Maybe you saw something we didn't in Pittsburgh, but I just don't know where you feel confident offensively. I don't know what they can do. What's your sense of this?
Well, I don't know how you come out of this game where George Pickens has 1 catch, no yards, 3 drops, and feel good about where you are. He missed 3 games with a hamstring. He had 3 catches last week in his return from that. But, yeah, we all saw the same game. And we heard Mike Tomlin at the end of the half say when they were trying to get 1 yard, if we don't get 1 yard, if we can't get 1 yard, we don't deserve to win this game. They came close. They had that 1 good drive in the second half, but it wasn't good enough tonight. And whether they, are a 5 seed or a 6 seed, as Troy said earlier in the game, does it really matter if their offense is going to look like this? They're going to have to protect better, and they're going to have to get Pickens involved more, no matter what. He's their top target on the outside, and he's that guy by a mile.
Yeah, they're one and done, Scott. If they don't play better on offense than they did tonight, it's going to be a short trip in the postseason, and they'll be looking for their first playoff win since 2016 going into next year.
Yeah.